Welcome to the first Earth System Governance Network Early Career Researchers podcast. I'm Cebuan Bliss, one of the coordinators of the ECR committee. In this series of bite-sized podcasts, we'll be asking senior scholars what life is like for them in their early careers. Today, I'm joined by Louis Kotze, one of the new members of the Scientific Steering Committee of the ESG Network. Louis is Professor in Global Environmental Law at Northwest University in South Africa and Senior Professorial Fellow in Earth System Law at the University of Lincoln in the UK. He's also the project leader at the Research Institute for Sustainability in Potsdam. Welcome to the podcast, Louis.
Thank you very much, Cebu. It's lovely to be here.
What was life like for you as an ECR?
Oh, I think difficult at times, but also certainly exciting. It seems like so many years ago, and it actually is so many years ago that I used to be an ECR. I think what really stood out for me at the time was this endless sense of opportunities that one has and that you can pounce on, and all of these interesting lines of investigation where your research can go, which institution you want to be, where are you going to do your PhD, what type of topic do you want to work on, and certainly also who do you think your supervisor would be. Because this to me has always been, I was extremely fortunate to have the most amazing supervisor in the world, Professor Louis Kotze, in South Africa. And I think she really, in many ways, cultured and nurtured the passion that I have for the academia and research and working with other people. So yes, in a nutshell, I think life as an early career scholar was obviously also challenging because you sometimes had to be alone overseas doing research, not with your family and friends. One doesn't have money. It is not a life of abundance, but it is also an opportunity of or an experience of immense, endless opportunities that one has, and that's something that I have always loved and cherished, and that I also miss. And what I certainly also miss, I think, is that life, as certainly as a PhD student, was far less complicated than it is as a mid-career or senior scholar. And I'm sure that many of the people that we work with will identify with this sort of assessment.
Yeah, so perhaps we overcomplicate things for ourselves as PhDs.
Yes. I would certainly, my advice would be is have enough money to drink good wine, which also allows sufficient opportunity to discuss all of the research challenges and challenges that life throws at one as a PhD student, but not to overcomplicate it, certainly.
Yeah, we can save the money on the heating and spend it on the good wine.
Absolutely.
And you spoke about, being away from friends and family and the lack of money. What was the sort of one biggest challenge that you faced?
Well, I think certainly as an early career scholar, apart from sometimes these logistical issues that one has if you study, for example, in a foreign country, I was fortunate to study in Amsterdam. That was my first long study period overseas. But apart from often being alone and trying to find your way in a new big city, is also the challenges of doing research, of trying to fulfill expectations, certainly. Because there's obviously expectations from the institution that you are registered with to doing your PhD, for example, or your postdoc. There would be expectations from your supervisor, and also expectations that you have of yourself and the type of work that you do, and the quality of the work that you want to deliver. And I think that was always, to me, certainly some of the biggest challenges that I had to overcome, is also often to make peace with the fact that you won't accomplish everything that you set out to do, and that's fine. We cannot do everything that we set out to do. One must also be realistic in terms of the type of goals and objectives and ambitions you have for yourself, and that's what you can achieve over the course of the period of time that you are involved with any type of project.
Yeah, certainly I can identify with that. We can have very high expectations for ourselves.
Absolutely.
And what makes your work meaningful to you?
Oh, that is an important question that I think one should ask yourself more frequently than one tends to do, perhaps even once a week. I think what encourages me and what gives me hope and makes and excites me certainly is working with other lovely people. That is the one major advantage, certainly also working in the type of network that Earth System Governance is that it gives us exposure to so many lovely people working on variously different things. And we can collaborate with these people, we can share ideas with them, and there is a certain process of mutual enrichment, obviously, that occurs. And that gives me hope, and that excites me also, certainly at the same time. And I think often they say environmental lawyers certainly are the most pessimistic people in the world, because we are fighting, and I'm sure that this is the same for sustainability scientists, for political scientists, for all of us working in the sustainability field, is that we're trying to fight against this almost existential crisis of what is going to happen with us and the world, and how do we change it. We are dealing with profound questions and challenges and issues that we not necessarily will have immediate answers and solutions for. But what encourages me is and what gives me hope is that there is a conversation, and that people are interested in this, and that people are doing important work also. And I'm especially encouraged by the younger generations, people like yourself, early career scholars also, certainly in the ESG network, who are passionate, perhaps even much more so than the older generation, about making change, and trying to instill tangible transformations through who we are, what we do, through our activism, through our scholarly activism, certainly. And that is what gives me hope. I'm often despondent and increasingly see that I don't think any one of us would be able to solve the socio-ecological crisis. But collectively, we certainly contribute to exploring answers and to try to find solutions. And I think that is immensely positive and encouraging.
Yeah, our collective consciousness and action is stronger than any of us individually, maybe.
That's put far better than I could do it. Absolutely.
Was there a extremely helpful piece of advice that you were given as an early career researcher, or advice you would give to your younger self?
Absolutely. I think, and this also comes from my PhD supervisor, Wilhelmine du Plessis. She always said, don't say no if anyone asks you for something. Don't say no to a challenge. If Frank Beerman sends you an email and asks whether you want to come on board on X, Y, and Z project, say yes and do it. Become involved. It's often a lot of work. It often takes a lot of dedication and extra energy and time. But in the end, the rewards and the fulfillment are absolutely immense. And the absolute joy also then that one has working with other people when you embrace these challenges and these opportunities that are given to you and that come your way. And that certainly would be my, piece of advice, in a sense, is not to say no to a challenge. Tackle it head on, make the most and the best of it, because it is ultimately extremely rewarding when it is done and done well.
And finally, is there any advice you would give to early scholars today which is different to any advice you received?
Oh, I don't think so. I think the advice that I had over the years were extremely constructive in guiding my way along the path of academia and where I'm currently at, and I'm very happy where I'm at. I'm in a very positive and happy place and space. Again, I would say be open to challenges, be open to working hard. Don't be afraid of criticism. That is perhaps something that I can add, because as researchers, certainly as academics, we basically put ourselves out there to be criticized, don't we? Certainly in something that we write, the presentations that we give, the research that we do. But don't be discouraged by that, because you and I, and we all will get a lot of criticism along the way. But it is how to engage with that, and constructively so also, in ways that could also improve our scholarship and the quality of the outputs that we produce.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Well, thank you very much for your time and your inspirational words. Do you have any closing comments before we finish?
Well, thank you very much, Cebuan, for having me and for this opportunity again. It's really a pleasure to have shared some of these thoughts with you, and also to force myself again to be a bit reflective of where I've been several years ago. I think in conclusion, I can say that it is a real pleasure and a privilege to be involved with such a vibrant, large, involved global network such as of system governance, such as this alliance. And the work that we do collectively is immensely powerful. We are a mutually supportive group of people. And the network certainly gives us an extremely valuable mechanism to be able to interact with one another, to collaborate with one another, to fall back on one another, to get advice, to reflect upon the work that we do, and ultimately to make friends. And that would be certainly my hope, is that the network will grow. And I'm also saying this as the current co-chair of the Scientific Steering Committee with Arti Gupta. It is also our wish, I'm sure I can speak for Arti when I say this, that we also look towards early career scholars and the younger generation in taking up the work that we are all currently doing and taking this forward, because you will ultimately be the visionary leaders of the future.
I hope so. Well, thank you very much for your time, Louis.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Cebuan.